Well, hello, my friends. We are back together for reading. Happy Memorial Day. I am sorry about last night. We were playing some board games, and um, the boys said, Dad, it's been a while since we watched a Marvel movie. Why don't we watch a Marvel movie? And I was like, wow, my two teenage sons want to hang out with me and watch a movie. Whoa, I better take advantage of this. And I think you guys know that just about the only thing that is more important to me than work and being with you guys and doing my job is my kids. And so anyways, I apologize for that last minute cancellation last night, but it was for a good cause. My teenage sons. So I'm going to be honest with you, though. Not that I always lie to you, but Saturday, there was a couple points where we were just kind of like chillaxing, and I was like, we're at a really good part of the book. Maybe I could read ahead a little bit. And then I was like, nah, I can't do that to the guys. I'll wait. And then I was kind of like, well, wait a minute. How would they know if I did? And anyways, I didn't. I thought about it because we kind of left off at a cliffhanger, right? This little ambush on the haunted hayride. So let's, say, Mr. Martin, stop your rambling crap and let's get back into it. Let's get reading, right? So Kevin steps from the trees. This is chapter 14. Dressed as a mummy. He's the one who tackled me. The lights stun him, and he seems dumbfounded, trying to figure out where they've come from. He's wearing night vision goggles, so that's how they were able to see us. I think. Where did they get them? He charges at me, and at the last second, I step out of the way and I trip him. Let me go, I hear from down the trail. I look up and I sweep my eyes across the trees, but nothing moves. I can tell it's the voice of Emily's or Sarah's. A guy's laughter follows. Kevin tries to stand up, but I kick him in the side before he gets to his feet. He falls back to the ground with an oomph. I rip the goggles from his face and I throw them as far as I can and know they will land at least a mile away. Maybe 2 or 3 because I'm so angry that my strength has now gotten out of control. Then I race off through the woods before Kevin can even sit up. The trail winds left, then right. My hands glow only when I need to see. I sense that I'm close. Then I see Sam up ahead, standing with the zombie's arms around him. 3 others are close by. The zombie lets go of him. Chill out, we're just kidding around. If you don't resist, you won't get hurt, he says to Sam. Sit down or something. I snap my hands on and I flash the lights in their eyes to blind them. The closest person steps towards me and I swing at him and hit him in the side of his face, and he falls motionless to the ground. His goggles sail into the overgrown brambles and disappear. The second person tries to bear hug me, and I break his grip and I lift him off the ground. What the hell, he says, confused. I throw him and he hits the side of a tree 20 feet away. The third guy sees this and runs away. That just leaves the fourth, the one who's holding Sam. He lifts his hands in front of him as though I'm aiming a gun in his chest. It wasn't my idea, he says. What does he have planned? Nothing, man. We just wanted to play a joke on you guys, scare you a little. Where are they? They let Emily go. Sarah is up ahead. Give me your goggles, I say. No way, man. We're borrowing these from the police. I'll get in trouble. I step towards him. Fine, he says. He takes them off and he hands them to me, and I throw them even harder than I did the previous pair. I hope they land in the next town. Let them explain that one to the police. I grab Sam's shirt with my right hand. I can't say a thing without turning on my light. Only then do I realize I should have kept 2 pair of goggles for us to wear. But I didn't. So I take a deep breath and I let my left hand glow and I begin guiding us up the path. If Sam finds it suspicious, he doesn't let on. I stop to listen. Nothing. We continue on, weaving through the trees, and I turn the light off. Sarah, I yell. I stop to listen, and I hear nothing but the wind blowing through the branches and Sam's heavy breathing. How many people are with Mark? I ask. 5 or so. Do you know which way they went? I didn't see. So we push on, and I have no idea in which direction we are headed. Far off, I hear the groan of a tractor motor. The fourth ride is starting. I feel frantic on the inside, and I want to sprint, but I know that Sam can't keep up. He's breathing heavily already, and even I'm sweating despite the temperature being only 45 degrees. Or maybe I'm mistaking blood for sweat. I can't tell. As we pass a thick tree with knotted trunk, I get tackled from behind. Sam yells as a fist hits me in the back of the head, and I'm momentarily stunned. But then I pivot and I grab the guy by the throat and I shine a light into his face. He tries to peel my fingers away, but it's useless. What is Mark planning? Nothing, he says. Wrong answer. I thrust him into the nearest tree 5 feet away. Then I pick him up and I lift him a foot off the ground with my hand, again against his throat. His legs kicking wildly, hitting me, but I tighten my muscles so that the kicks do no damage. Excuse me. What is he planning to do? I lower him to his feet so that they touch solid ground, loosening my grip to allow him to speak. I sense Sam watching, drinking all this in, but there's nothing I can do about it. We just wanted to scare you guys, he gasps. I swear I will break you in half if you don't tell the truth. He thinks the others are dragging you two to Shepherd's Falls. That's where he took Sarah. He wanted her to see him beat the crap out of you. Then he was going to let you go. Lead me, I say. He shuffles forward, and I turn my light off. Sam takes hold of my shirt, and he follows behind us. When we walk through a small clearing lit by moonlight overhead, I can see that he's looking at my hands. They're gloves, I say. Kevin Miller was wearing them, some sort of Halloween prop. He nods, but I can tell he's freaked out. We walk for nearly a minute until we hear the sound of running water just ahead of us. Here, goggles, I say to the guy leading us. He hesitates, and I twist his arm. He writhes in pain and quickly rips them from his face. Take them, he yells. When I put them on, the world turns a shade of green. I push him hard, and he falls to the ground. Come on, I say to Sam, and we walk ahead, leaving the guy behind. Up ahead, I see a group. I count 8 guys plus Sarah. I can now see them. Do you want to wait here or I'm sorry. I can see them now, I say to Sam. Do you want to wait here or do you want to come with me? It might get ugly. I want to come, Sam says. I can tell that he's scared, though I'm not sure if it's because of what he's seen me do or the football players ahead of us. I walk the rest of the way as silently as I can, Sam tiptoeing behind me. When we are just a few feet away, a twig snaps beneath Sam's foot. John, Sarah asks. She's sitting on a large rock with her knees to her chest and her arms wrapped around them. She isn't wearing goggles, and she squints in our direction. Yes, I say. And Sam. The water, I hear, is nothing more than a small, babbling brook, and Mark steps forward. Well, 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 he says. Shut up, Mark, I say. Manure in my locker was one thing, but you've gone too far with this one. You think? It's 8 on 2. Sam has nothing to do with this. You scared to face me alone, I ask? What are you expecting to happen? You tried kidnapping 2 people. Do you really think they'll keep silent? Yeah, I do. When they see me whoop your ass. You're delusional, I say. Then turn to the others. You're delusional, I say. Then I turn to the others. For those of you that don't want to get into the water, I suggest you leave now. Mark is going in no matter what. He lost his chance to barter. All of them snicker, and one of them asks what barter means. Now's your last chance, I say. I'm sorry, do you hear the cat? I got the cat a bunch of toys. I don't know if you can hear a bunch of toys. And she's swatting them all over the place. Now she's lost one under the coffee table. Ha! So be it, I say. A nervous excitement plants itself, oh God, in the center of my chest. As I take one step forward, Mark steps back and trips over his own feet, falling to the ground. Two of the guys come at me, both bigger than me. One swings, but I duck his punch, and I send one of my own into his gut. He doubles over with his hands, holding his stomach. I shove the second guy, and his feet leave the ground. He lands with a thud 5 feet away, and the momentum pushes him into the water. He comes up splashing. The others stand rooted, shocked. I sense Sam moving towards Sarah. I grab hold of the first guy, and I drag him across the ground. His errant kicks slice through the air, but hit nothing. When we are at the bank of the brook, I lift him by the waistband of his jeans, and I throw him into the water. Another guy lunges at me. I merely step side him, and he lands face first into the brook. 3 down, 4 to go. I wonder how much of this Sarah and Sam can see without goggles. You guys are making this easy for me, I say. Who's next? The biggest of the group throws a punch that comes nowhere near hitting me, though I counter it so swiftly that his elbow catches me in the face and the goggle strap snaps. The goggles fall to the ground, and I can only see slight shadows now. I throw a punch, and I hit the guy in the jaw, and he falls to the ground like a sack of potatoes. He looks lifeless, and I fear that I've hit him too hard. I rip his goggles from his face, and I put them on. Any volunteers? I ask. 2 of them hold their hands up in front of them and surrender. The third stands with his mouth gaping open like an idiot. Well, that's really nice. That leaves you, Mark. Mark turns as though he intends to run. But I lunge forward and I grab him before he can, pulling his arms up into a full Nelson. He writhes in pain. This ends right now. Do you understand me? I squeeze tighter and he grunts in pain. Whatever you have against me, you drop it now. That includes Sam and Sarah, you understand? My grip tightens. I fear that if I squeeze any tighter, his shoulder will pop from his socket. I said, do you understand me? Yes, Mark says. I drag him over to Sarah. Sam is sitting on the rock beside her. Apologize. Come on, man, you've proven your point. I squeeze harder. I'm sorry, he yells. Say it like you mean it. He takes a deep breath. I'm sorry, he says. You're an asshole, Mark, Sarah says, and slaps him hard across the face. He tenses, but I'm holding him firmly, and there isn't a thing he can do about it. I drag him to the water. The rest of the guys stand watching in shock. The guy I had knocked out is sitting up, scratching his head as though trying to figure out what had happened. I breathe a sigh of relief that he isn't badly hurt. You're not going to say a word to anybody about this. Do you understand me? I say, my voice so low that only Mark can hear me. Everything that has happened tonight. Stop it, Siri. Everything that has happened tonight, it dies here. I swear. If I hear one word about it in school next week, this is nothing compared to what's going to happen to you. Do you understand me? Not a single word. Do you really think I would say anything, he asks? You make sure you tell your friends the same. If they tell a single word, if they tell a single soul a word of this, it will be you that I come for. We won't say anything, he says. I let go and I put my foot in his butt and I push him face first into the water. Sarah is standing at the rock with Sam beside her. She hugs me tightly when I get to her. Do you know Kung Fu or something, she says. I laugh nervously. Could you see much? Not a lot, but I could tell what was happening. I mean, have you been training in the mountains your whole life or something? I don't understand how you did that. I was just scared something was going to happen to you, I guess. And yeah, there was the past 12 years of martial arts training high in the Himalayas. You're amazing, Sarah laughs. Let's get out of here. None of the guys say a word to us. After 10 feet, I realize I have no idea where I'm going. So I give the goggles to Sarah to lead the way. I can't friggin' believe that, Sarah says. I mean, what an asshole. Wait till they try to explain it to the police. I'm not letting him get away with it. Are you really going to call the police? Mark's dad is the sheriff, after all, I say. Why wouldn't I after that? It was bullshit. Mark's dad's job is to enforce the law, even when his son breaks it. I shrug in the darkness. I think they received their punishment. I bite my lip, terrified of the police getting involved. If they do, I'll have to leave. No way around it. We'll be packed up and headed out of town within an hour of Henry knowing about it. I sigh. Don't you think? I ask. I mean, they've already lost several of the night vision goggles. They'll have to explain that, and that's not to mention the icy cold water. Sarah doesn't say anything. We walk in silence, and I pray that she is debating the merits of letting it go. Eventually, the end of the woods comes into view. Light reaches in front from the park. When I stop, Sarah and Sam both look at me. Sam has been silent the entire time, and I'm hoping that it's because he couldn't really see what was happening. The dark, for once, serving as an unexpected ally. That maybe he's a little shaken up by everything. It's up to you guys, I say, but I'm all for just letting the matter die. I really don't want to have to talk to the police about what happened. The light falls on Sarah's skeptical face. She shakes her head. I think he's right, Sam says. I don't want to have to go sit and write a stupid statement for the next half hour. I'll be in deep crap. My mom thinks I went to bed an hour ago. You live nearby, I ask? He nods. Yeah, I got to go before she checks in my room. I'll see you guys around. Without another word, Sam hurries away. He's clearly rattled. He's probably never been in a fight and certainly never been one where he was kidnapped and attacked in the woods. I'll try talking to him tomorrow. If he did see something he shouldn't have, I'll convince him his eyes were just playing tricks on him. Sarah turns my face to hers and traces the line of my cut with her thumb, moving it gently across my forehead. Then she traces both of my brows, staring into my eyes. Thank you for tonight. I knew you were going to come. I shrug. I wasn't going to let him scare you. She smiles, and I can see her eyes glistening in the moonlight. She moves towards me, and I realize what's about to happen. My breath catches in my throat. She presses her lips to mine, and everything inside of me turns to rubber. It's a soft kiss, lingering. My first. Then she pulls away, and her eyes take me in. I don't know what to say. A million different thoughts run through my head. My legs feel wobbly, and I'm barely able to stay upright. I knew you were special the first time I saw you, she says. I felt the same with you. She reaches up and she kisses me again. Her hand lightly presses to my cheek. For the first few seconds, I'm lost in the feel of her lips on mine, and in the idea that I'm with the most beautiful girl. She pulls away, and both of us smile at each other, saying nothing, staring into each other's eyes. Well, I think I'm going to see if Emily is still here. Sarah says after about 10 seconds, or else I'll be stranded. I'm sure she is, I say. We hold hands and we walk to the pavilion. I can't stop thinking about our kisses. The 5th tractor chugs along the trail. The tractor is full, and there's still a line of 10 people or so waiting their turn. After everything that happened in the woods, with Sarah's warm hands in mine, the smile does not leave my face. Ooh, kissy, kissy. All right, let's keep going. Chapter 15. So John has had his first kiss with Sarah. All right. So the first snowfall comes 2 weeks later. A slight dusting, just enough to cover the truck with a fine powder. Since just after Halloween, once the Laura crystals spread the lumen throughout my body, Henry has begun my real training. We've worked every day without fail through the cold weather and rain and now the snow. Though he doesn't say it, I believe he's impatient for me to be ready. It started with disconcerted looks, his brows crinkled while he chewed at his bottom lip, followed by deep sighs and eventually sleepless nights, the floorboards creaking under his feet while I lay awake in my room. To where we are now, an inherent desperation in Henry's strained voice. We stand in the backyard, 10 feet apart, facing each other. I'm really not in the mood today, I say. I know you're not, but we have to anyways. I sigh and I look at my watch. It's 4:00. Sarah will be here at 6, I say. I know, Henry says. That's why we must hurry. He holds a tennis ball in each hand. Are you ready, he asks. As ready as I'll ever be. He throws the first ball high in the air, and as it reaches its apex, I try to conjure a power deep in with me to keep it from falling. I don't know how I'm supposed to do it, only that I should be able to do it. With time and practice, says Henry, each guard develops the ability to move objects with their mind, telekinesis. And instead of letting me discover it on my own, as I did my hands, Henry seems hell bent on waking the power from whatever cave it's hibernating in. The ball drops as it does 1,000 times or balls before, the 1,000 or so balls before it did, without a single interruption, bouncing twice, then lying motionless on the snow-covered grass. I let out a deep sigh. I'm not feeling it today. Again, Henry says. He throws the second ball, and I try to move it, to stop it, everything inside me straining just to make the damn thing move a single inch to the right or to the left. But no luck. It hits the ground as well. Bernie Gozar, who's been watching, walks out to it, picks it up, and he walks away. It'll come in its own time, I say. Henry shakes his head. The muscles in his jaw are flexed. His moods and impatience are getting to me. He watches Bernie Kosar trot off with the ball, then he sighs. What? I ask. He shakes his head again. Let's keep trying. He walks over and he picks up the other ball. Then he flings it high in the air. I try to stop it, but of course it falls. Maybe tomorrow, I say. Henry nods and he looks at the ground. Maybe tomorrow. I am covered in sweat and mud and melted snow after our workout. Henry pushed me harder than normal today and came at me with an aggression that could only be steeped in panic. Beyond the telekinesis practice, most of our sessions was spent drilling technique and fighting, hand-to-hand combat, wrestling, mixed martial arts, followed by elements of composure, grace under pressure, mind control, how to spot fear in the eye of an opponent, and then know how best to expose it. It wasn't Henry's hard training that got to me, but rather the look in his eyes, a distressed look, tinged with fear, despair, and disappointment. I don't know if he's just concerned about progress or if it's something danger or deeper. But these sessions are becoming very exhausting, emotionally and physically. Kind of like teaching. It's an emotional heartache. Just kidding. Maybe. All right, Sarah arrives on time. Excuse me. Oh, excuse me. I walk outside and I kiss her as she's coming up to the front porch. I take her coat and I hang it when we get inside. Our home ec midterm is a week away, and it was her idea to cook a meal before we'll have to prepare it in class. As soon as we begin cooking, Henry grabs his jacket and he goes for a walk. He takes Bernie Kosar with him, and I'm thankful for the privacy. We make baked chicken breasts and potatoes and some steamed vegetables, and the meal comes out far better than I had hoped. When all is ready, the three of us sit down together. Henry is silent through most of it. Sarah and I break the awkward silence with small talk about school, about our going to the movies the following Saturday. Henry rarely looks up from his plate other than to offer how wonderful the meal is. When dinner is over, Sarah and I wash the dishes and we retreat to the couch. Sarah brought a movie over and we watch it on our small TV. But Henry mostly stares out the window. Halfway through, he gets up with a sigh and he walks outside. Sarah and I watch him go. We hold hands and she leans against me with her head on my shoulder. Bernie Kosar sits with his head in her lap, and a blanket draped over both of them. It may be cold and blustery outside, but it's warm and cozy in our living room. Is your dad okay? Sarah asks. I don't know. He's been acting weird. He was really quiet during dinner. Yeah, I'm going to go check on him. I'll be right back, I say, and I follow Henry outside. He's standing on the porch, looking out into the darkness. What's going on? I ask. He looks up to the stars in contemplation. Something doesn't feel right, he says. What do you mean? You're not going to like it. Okay, well, let's have it. I don't know how much longer we should stay here. It doesn't feel safe to me. My heart sinks, and I stay silent. They're frantic, and I think they're getting close. I can feel it. I don't think we're safe here. I don't want to leave. I knew you wouldn't. We've kept hidden. Henry looks at me with a raised brow. No offense, John, but I hardly think you've stayed in the shadows. I have where it counts. He nods. I guess we'll see. He walks to the edge of the porch and he places his hands on the rail. I stand beside him. New snowflakes start falling, sifting down, specks of white shimmering on the other side, otherwise dark night. That's not all, Henry says. I didn't think it was. He sighs. You should have already developed telekinesis. It almost always comes with your first legacy. Very rarely does it come after, and when it does, it's never longer than a week later. I look over at him. His eyes are full of concern, and creases of worry traverse the length of his forehead. Your legacies come from Lorien. They always have. So what are you telling me? I don't know how much we can expect from here on out, he says. Since we're no longer on the planet, I don't know if the rest of your legacies will come at all. And if that's true, we have no hope of fighting the Magadorians, much less defeating them. And if we can't defeat them, we'll never be able to get back. I watch the snowfall, unable to decide whether I should be worried or relieved. Relieved since perhaps that would bring an end to our moving, and we could finally settle. Henry points to the stars. Right there, he says. Right there is where Lorien is. Of course, I know full well where Lorien is without having to be told. There's a certain pull, a certain way that my eyes always gravitate towards the spot where billions of miles away Lorien sits. Then close my eyes and breathe in the cold air. When I open them, I turn around and I look at Sarah through the window. She's sitting with her legs beneath her, Bernie Kosar's head sitting on her lap. Have you ever thought of settling here? Or saying to hell with Lorien and making a life here on Earth, I asked Henry. We left when you were pretty young, and I don't imagine you remember much of it, do you? Not really, I say. Bits and pieces come to me from time to time, though I can't really say whether they are the things I remember or things I've seen during my training. I don't think you would feel that way if you would remember. But I don't remember. Isn't that the point? Maybe, he says. But whether or not you want to go back doesn't mean the Magadorians aren't going to stop searching for us. And if you get careless and settle, you can be assured they'll find us. And as soon as they do, they'll kill us both. There's no way to change that. No way. I know he's right. Excuse me. Somehow, like Henry, I can sense that much. I can feel it in the dead of the night when the hairs on my arms stand at attention, when a slight shiver crawls up my spine even though I'm not cold. Do you ever regret sticking with me for this long? Regret it? Why do you think I would regret it? Because there's nothing for us to go back to. Your family is dead, so is mine. On Lorien, there is only a life of rebuilding. If it wasn't for me, we could easily create an identity here and spend the rest of your days becoming part of something. You could have friends, maybe even fall in love again. Henry laughs. I'm already in love, and I'll continue to be until the day I die. I don't expect you to understand that. Lorien is different from Earth. A sigh of exasperation, but still, I sigh with exasperation. But still, you could be a part of somewhere. I am a part of somewhere. I am a part of Paradise, Ohio, right now with you. I shake my head. You know what I mean, Henry? What is it that you think I'm missing? A life. You are my life, kiddo. You and my memories are my only ties to the past. Without you, I have nothing, and that's the truth. Just then, the door opens behind us. Bernie Kosar comes trotting out ahead of Sarah, who is standing in the doorway, half in and half out. Are you two really going to make me watch this movie all by my lonesome, she asks. Henry smiles. Wouldn't dream of it, he says. Okay, why don't we stop? We can... Let me see how much... there's a lot left in this chapter. Let's read just a little bit more. So after the movie, Henry and I drive Sarah home. When we get there, I walk her to the front door and we stand on the stoop, smiling at each other. I kiss her goodnight and I linger with the kiss while holding her hands gently in mine. See you tomorrow, she says, giving my hands a squeeze. Sweet dreams. I walk back to the truck. Henry pulls out Sarah's driveway and he steers towards home. I can't help feeling a sense of fear while remembering Henry's words the day he picked me up from my first full day of school. Just keep in mind we might have to leave at a moment's notice. He's right, and I know it, but I never felt this way about anyone before. Like I'm floating on air when we're together, and I dread the times when we're apart. Like now, despite having just spent the last couple of hours with her, Sarah gives some purpose to our running and hiding, a reason that transcends mere survival, a reason to win, and to know that I may be putting her life in danger by being with her. Well, it terrifies me. When we get back, Henry walks into the bedroom and he comes out carrying the chest. He drops it on the kitchen table. Really? I ask. He nods. There's something in here I've wanted to show you for years. I can't wait to see what else is in the chest. We pop the lock together and he lifts the lid in such a way that I can't peer into it. He removes a velvet bag and he closes the chest and relocks it. These aren't part of your legacy. Oh, excuse me. But the last time we opened the chest, I slipped them in because of the bad feeling I've been having. If the Magadorians catch us, they'll never be able to open this, he says, and motions to the chest. So what's in the bag? The solar system, he says. If they aren't part of my legacy, then why have you never shown me? Because you needed to develop a legacy in order to activate them. He clears the kitchen table and then he sits across from me with the bag in his lap. He smiles at me, sensing my enthusiasm. Then he reaches down and he removes 7 glass orbs of varying sizes from the bag. He holds them up to his face in his cupped hands and he blows on the glass orbs. Tiny flickers of light come from within them. Then he tosses them up in the air and all at once they come to life, suspended above the kitchen table. The glass balls are a replica of our solar system. The largest of them is the size of an orange, Lorien's sun. And it hangs in the middle, emitting the same amount of light as a light bulb while looking like a self-contained sphere of lava. The other balls orbit around it. Those closest to the sun move at a faster rate, while those farther away seem only to creep by. All of them spinning, days beginning and ending at hyperspeed. The fourth globe from the sun is Lorien. We watch it move and we watch the surface of it begin to form. It is about the size of a racquetball. The replica must not be to scale because in reality, Lorien is much smaller than our sun. So what's happening, I ask? The ball is taking on exactly what form Lorien looks like at this moment. How is that even possible? It's a special place, John. And odd magic exists at its very core. That's where your legacies come from. It's what gives you life and reality to the objects contained within your inheritance. But you just said that this isn't part of my legacy. No, but they come from the same place. Indentations form, mountains grow, deep creases cut across the surface, where I know rivers once ran, and then it stops. I look for any sort of color, any movement, any wind that might blow across the land. But there is nothing. The entire landscape is monochromatic, patch of gray and black. I don't know what I had hoped to see, what I had expected. Movement of some kind, a hint of fertileness. My spirits fall. Then the surface dims away so that we can see through it, and at the very core of the globe, a slight glow begins to form. It glows, then dims, then glows again, as though replicating the heartbeat of the sleeping animal. What is that, I ask? The planet still lives and it breathes. It was just withdrawn deep into itself, biding its time, hibernating, if you will. But it will wake one of these days. What makes you so sure? That little glow right there, he says. That is hope, John. All right. You know what? With that, that's a good place to stop. Hope is always a good place to stop. All right. So, like I said, my friends, I'm sorry about last night, but the boys asked to watch a movie. We watched Ant-Man. So we haven't watched that Marvel movie in a long time, and that's a good fun Marvel movie. I don't know if you guys have ever seen it, with Paul Rudd and Michael Douglas. Good movie. So today, I guess maybe because it was Memorial Day, kind of a lame day in regards to news. But so yesterday, deaths jumped up in the state back over 100. Today, it jumped back down. So it went 109.96. So it was in the 80s, went back up to 109. Now it's back down to 96. There's still a good amount of those deaths and illnesses are coming from nursing homes. And the governor, one of the things that he continued to talk about today, and there are questions today about, oh my goodness, excuse me, continuing questions about the nursing homes. Testing of the staff, testing of the patients, who's going to pay for it, who's administering all these tests. So, that comes at a huge cost. Nursing homes and people living in nursing homes is a huge expense, and the expense is only going to go up the more and more that these people have to be tested. So one of the reporters had asked a question about that. And the governor today really poured it on when it comes to federal aid. So a couple things that he's talking about is he's saying that our frontline workers, so, oh my goodness, excuse me, nurses, doctors, transportation people, EMS, police, ambulance drivers, right? All of these people should be getting hazard pay, okay? He's saying the federal government needs to step up and give them hazard pay. The other thing that he is saying, and he's saying that if the federal government won't pay for this, then New York State will pay for this, and the pension services will have to pay for this, is a death benefit. He didn't, and if he did say how much, I missed it. But what he's talking about is that, I have a life insurance plan, okay? So if something happens to me, my sons are going to get a pretty nice cash payout. Okay, it's not like millions of bucks, but it's a good amount of money. That's to help them keep going. Okay, they will also get my, any savings I have, any retirement that I have, or my retirement plans that I have. Right, they are the beneficiaries. So, but because of this, because frontline workers are getting sick and they're dying of COVID, the governor is saying if the federal government isn't going to step up and pay for these people to get these death benefits, then it should be the state government and the pension system of whatever these people are in that should be stepping up and paying out this death benefit. And again, I didn't hear how much that should be, and I don't know if they've come up with that figure yet. But I know, from going through losing my mom not that long ago, that funerals are very expensive. This process is very expensive, and people that didn't have work for a while, or their families maybe had one member that wasn't working. Then you've got your healthcare worker, your essential worker gets sick of COVID and dies. Well, they're going to need some money. So even the very simple, my mom was cremated, and we had a very small, she wanted just a church service. That was it. It was a little under $5,000 when it was all, I think it was $4,600 all total with the funeral. But then, you know what? I mean, we had people over at the house afterwards, and, you buy hundreds of dollars of food and you do all that kind of nonsense. And it adds up, so I understand why these people need that money, and maybe the government should be stepping up and helping them at this time, which ultimately means that we are, right? Because it's our tax dollars that are doing this. Okay. So again, excuse me, there wasn't a huge update today. The governor literally, maybe spoke for 5 or 6 minutes, and then he went questions, and I kind of went, what? Huh? Really? So not a lot of big updates. I know one thing that he talked about today, continued to talk about today, is that New York is still slowly going downward with all this, but the rest of the country is still on an upward trend. 3 big hotspots: Chicago, Washington, D.C. Oh, geez, what was the other city? Ooh, excuse me. I'm sorry, guys. Excuse me. I don't remember what the other city was, but there are some places that COVID is really just starting to take off. So where they're talking about, I guess, some tomorrow parts of Long Island are going to open up. And then Wednesday, maybe it looks like parts of New York City proper are going to open back up, some things. But, across the country, this isn't even, it's not even hit the apex yet, right? It's not even hit the top part of this yet, which, seems for us like a long time ago. So the other things that he talked about today is PPE. He kept talking about it is proven that it works. They have the scientific data to show that personal protection equipment works. So today I went to Agway early in the morning because I wanted to get a new American flag. There were a bunch of people not wearing masks. Where else did I stop? I stopped somewhere else today. Where else did I go? Or did I not? No, maybe that was it today. But yesterday, the boys and I stopped. Where did we stop? Oh, we went to Price Chopper. So we went to my dad's house to celebrate Tig's birthday. There are a bunch of people in Price Chopper without PPE on. And I'm like, people? Really? And I guess, the governor talked today that he's getting complaints about people don't like the way they look on their faces. And, people are sick of having to wear them. And it's hey, wear that mask or wear a ventilator mask. I guess it's up to you. But I personally, for myself, I don't see myself, at least when I'm out in public, I think I'm going to be wearing mine for a while. I don't mean years, but for the foreseeable future, I don't see anything changing with me wearing it right now. What else? Oh, well, so even though things are dipping down in New York, Albany County is starting to see a spike in cases. So apparently this weekend, Albany saw a nice upturn in cases. And I'm going to be honest with you, my friends, and I've talked to, we had like a little parade, just a car parade in Middleburg today. We weren't walking down the street. And that's one of the reasons I went to get the American flag. We just draped flags over our cars and stuff, and we drove them down the street just as like a little Memorial Day, nice thing. And it was nice. But I was talking to some of the people around town, and it seems as though we're starting out here to slowly open, but other places are starting to see this uptick. And even around here, people are not exactly social distancing the way that they should be. And I think people are getting impatient and I understand it. I understand that people are like, I'm sick of this crap. I want to get out of my house. Tomorrow it's supposed to be 88 degrees here in Middleburg. So I think Mr. Martin is going to get up early, and I think I'm going to get up early, and before it really starts to get warm, I'm going to mow the lawn. Probably a good thing to do. But I think we're going to start, and I think we talked about this. I think we're going to start to see some cases go up because the weather's getting nice. People are getting impatient. People are going to start wandering out. They're going to get lazy. Oh, and that was the other thing. That's right. I forgot about, and I did, look at this. I did put together the news. Oh, wait a minute. Did I go the wrong way? I did put together the news for yesterday, but where was it? Was it in Arkansas? Yeah, yesterday in Arkansas. Wait a minute. Or did we talk about that 2 days ago? Am I thinking differently? Was it 2 days ago we talked? No, it wasn't. No, I think it was from yesterday. I do have these dated. Oh yeah, right here. I'm sorry, it's right here. So they know that in Arkansas, some family had this huge pool party. Now, like all the people that went to this pool party have COVID. So I don't know. It's for the people that think it's a hoax. I think people have to stop. Well, I don't understand what it's going to take to truly prove to these people that this is not some kind of conspiracy. It's all over the country. It's in red states. It's in blue states. It's in northern states. It's in southern states, east, west. It's out in the country. It's in the urban areas. It's in the suburbs. It's everywhere, people. When you throw a big pool party at your house, and a lot of, most of the people that got in the pool now have it because one person had it. Well, guess what? You know what? It's not a hoax, and I don't know what else people need to convince them. Two other things in the news. So again, even though things are going up here in New York, the number of cases are going up in New York again. We'll see what happens after this weekend. Governor Cuomo said he's ready. So I guess on Wednesday, I thought it was Friday, but I went back and I checked. So as of Wednesday, New York State campgrounds can officially start to reopen, or the process of reopening. So I don't know what that means, because I know like the campground here in Middleburg, they are opening, but they are not opening their bathrooms. So meaning if you come and tent, well, you got to drive to town to do your business. If otherwise, and a lot of the spots are RV spots. So you got an RV or you have your trail, your fifth wheel trailer or whatever. You got to do your business in there, and that's that. They're not opening up any bathrooms at all. So, I'm not sure if like New York State campgrounds, what they're going to do. I don't know. I mean, those bathrooms get pretty well used and pretty well run down as it is. So maybe the people are going to have to bring a shovel and make a little cat hole and do your business in the woods and fight off the ticks and all that kind of good stuff. But we'll see how they start to reopening. They have to come up with a reopening plan before they can do it. There are 2 other private campgrounds out here, and then there is a state park campground about 4 miles outside of Middleburg. Well, it's not big. I think there's maybe 30 campsites. It's a nice little state campground. They have an open mic night every Friday. And now they're starting like a movie night on, I don't know what day of the week. They were going to do that anyways before they knew that, before they opened up camping or not, or they knew if camping was going to open up or not. But, I don't know if they're going to like camp, like only let every other campsite be open. But again, I don't know what the heck they're going to do with their bathrooms. Maybe like you're going to have to take a big hose or something and spray down the whole bathroom after you go and use it. I don't know. The other big thing in the news is that the Donald apparently is now saying that he is going to pull the Republican National Convention from North Carolina. North Carolina has a Democratic governor who is, a governor who believes in the coronavirus and believes, similar to our state, that, things should slowly reopen. So the president is saying he's going to yank the convention from North Carolina if the governor doesn't start to let things ease up. So who knows, guys? I don't know. Who knows? And I guess the Donald spent a good part of the weekend golfing too. So anyway, that's that. All right, how we doing on time? We're doing okay on time, 5 to 10. So on this day in history, we had talked about this about a week ago, but it was on this day in history, May 25th, 1787, that the first, I shouldn't say the first Constitutional Convention, but the Constitutional Convention that comes after the Articles of Confederation opens. And George Washington is presiding as the president of the convention. So about a week ago, we had talked about that officially marked when delegates were showing up from the different states. Well, today begins the actual convention itself. So on this day in 1861, President Lincoln suspends habeas corpus, right? So you have the right to be told why you are being arrested. When you are arrested, and you can only be held for a certain amount of time without being charged. And I don't remember there's exactly why he suspends it. I know there's a man who is openly protesting about Union troops gathering or I should say marching through Baltimore. And this man is thrown in prison in Fort McHenry, I think? Oh, God. Yeah, I think it's McHenry or maybe Fort McHenry, I believe, which is right outside of Baltimore. And that's where this man is held. And even though the Supreme Court says that Lincoln doesn't have the right to suspend habeas corpus, he does, and he leaves it that way. And it's left that way for quite some time. On this day in 1925, John Scopes, and we had talked about this when we talked about our cultural changes of the 1920s, even though across the country women are starting to see a change in their lifestyle. Excuse me. I'm so sorry, guys. Excuse me. And our country is kind of opening up culturally. In the South, in Tennessee, this John Scopes wants to teach Darwinism. He wants to teach the theory of evolution. And he is arrested for teaching that. And today, I believe, is when he is indicted for teaching Darwinism. It's on this day in 1961 that President Kennedy addresses Congress and tells not only the country but the world that by the end of the decade, we will have put a man on the moon. And of course, with about 5.5 months to spare, he was right. It's on this day in 1977 that China bans all Shakespeare books, plays, any mentioning of Shakespeare, because they believe that the works of Shakespeare incited, I guess you could say, like rebellious thoughts and rebellious actions among Chinese people. So they banned all Shakespeare in the country of China. It was also on this day in 1977 that the best movie ever, Star Wars, is released. And I don't know that it's the best movie ever, but I will say that, I think Star Wars is still one of the most influential movies of my lifetime. If you think about movies that have inspired a generation and inspired other movies, I think Star Wars, without a doubt, is one of the top ones. And on that, unfortunately, we'll end on a sad note. It's on this day in 1979 that the first child that has been abducted is put on the side of a milk carton. So I don't remember the last time that I saw a child's face on the side of a milk carton, but it used to be a very, I guess, popular thing that you would buy a half gallon of milk and you would see the photo of a child that had been abducted. And I know that there were cases that it led to, some kids being found, but it's on this day in 1979 that first photograph, and I think it's of like a 6-year. I read the story. It's like a 6-year-old kid in New York City. Get this: his parents let him walk to a couple blocks to a school bus on his own at 6 years old. Can you believe, in New York City? Can you believe that? And 6 years old. Anyway, again, I don't know the last time I saw a picture of a person, or a kid that had been abducted. I'm not sure, but today was the anniversary of it. So, well, I hope you guys had a good Memorial Day, and I hope all is well. As you can probably tell, the last few minutes here, excuse me, I've been yawning. I had a busy day. I did get a lot of work done. Got a real good walk in. And again, I participated in that parade, which was nice. And, we're down to, what did I counted? 15, 16, 17 and a half days of school left. So we're getting there, guys. We're getting there. June 17th will be our last day. And that's a half day. So, some fun stuff coming down the road this week for you guys. U.S. history. Well, Pig and Honors Pig will be working on portfolio projects. And each one of those classes is finishing up a unit. And then we'll be starting our last unit next week. And then, of course, finishing up portfolio projects. And then U.S. history, Vietnam War. And we're going to be moving into talk about the music and the culture of our country around that springs up around the Vietnam War. So you guys are going to get a chance to do a little bit of a project involving music and the music that comes out of the Vietnam War. So anyways, my friends, good to be back with you. Sorry again about last night, but we're back. We're going to get this book done without a doubt. I mean, I didn't even look to see where we left off. 177. So we are, we're just cruising through this book. We're almost halfway through the book. So we'll get through it, no doubt, and we'll start the second one. And, as I told you, I am going to continue to read during the summer. I'm not sure what days, but it'll be, I think, 3 days a week I can do over the summer. With campgrounds opening up, the boys and I are talking about taking a couple camping trips over the summer. So, there'll probably be a couple points where I'll be gone for 3 or 4 days. Excuse me. We'll be sitting out under and sleeping under the stars and hopefully falling asleep against, in front of some next to some real nice campfires. So I'm looking forward to that. But anywho, my friends, keep running that marathon. I'll be back in the Book Nook tomorrow night. We'll crank on with I Am Number 4. I hope everybody, again, had a great Memorial Day, and I hope everybody is getting through all this. You keep running that slow race and running that marathon, and we'll get there together. So I'll see you tomorrow night. Don't sprint. Take your time. We'll get there, and I'll see you for more I Am Number 4 tomorrow night. Have a good night, guys. Miss you.